Hey friends. All right, we're going to read this word problem. We're going to use our three read strategy to try to solve it. Kathy has a garden that is 16 feet wide and 30 feet long. She will plant one bulb per square foot. Each bag of bulbs contains 7 bulbs. How many bags does Kathy need to buy? All right, so the first question I'm going to ask myself is, what is this word problem about? This problem is about Kathy and a garden. Let's read it again. Kathy has a garden that is 16 feet wide, 30 feet long. She will plant one bulb per square foot. Each bag of bulbs contains 7 bulbs. How many bags does Kathy need to buy? So the second question I'll ask myself is, what am I trying to solve? Well, I'm trying to figure out how many bags does Kathy need to buy. All right, let's read it a third time. Kathy has a garden that is 16 feet wide and 30 feet long. She will plant one bulb per square foot. Each bag of bulbs contains 7 bulbs. How many bags does Kathy need to buy? So I got to ask myself, what information is important for me to be able to solve this? Well, the first piece of information that's important for me to be able to solve this is the width and length, so how wide and how long Kathy's garden is. So let me just make a little mock-up of what Kathy's garden could look like, potentially. So her garden is 16 feet wide by 30 feet long. All right. And then I know that she is trying to plant one bulb per square foot. So we know, going back to area perimeter, square feet is when you're trying to do the whole area. You're thinking about the whole area of her garden. She's not looking at the outside of her garden. She's looking at the inside, which is the area. So I think this is a two-step word problem that's going to involve me first to find the area of her garden. So this area of her garden is 16 times 30. So the best way for me to approach that would be to do the fun box. Make it out here. Put the 30 on top of the 0. Put the 10 over here. And then a 6, because we're splitting 16 up into 10s and 1s. And then we split the 30 up into 10s and 1s also. So first we're going to do 30 times 10, which 3 times 1 is 3. Plus you add those 2 zeros, so I know that 30 times 10 is 300. Then we're going to do 10 times 0, which is 0. Then we're going to do 30 times 6. Well, 6 times 3 is 18. Plus add the 0. So that's 180, or 6 times 30 is 180. And then 6 times 0 is 0. Well, we're not done there. We're going to add these all up. So we're going to write down 300 plus 180. I'm going to leave the zeros off. I'm going to leave these 2 zeros off because they're not going to do anything. We'll add these together. 0 plus 0 is 0. 8 plus 0 is 8. Go over to the hundreds. 3 plus 1 is 4. So I know that the total square footage of her garden is 480. So does that mean she's going to need 480 bulbs for her thing? No, not necessarily. But I know that her total square footage is 480, and we know that she uses one bulb per square foot. So yeah, she's basically going to need 480 bulbs. But that's not what the question. The question is, how many bags does she need? Well, I know that there's 7 bulbs in each bag. Well, I'm going to take 480 and put them into groups. See how many groups I can make of 7 out of that. Well, that's the same as division. So we're going to do the big 7. Put 480 divided by 7. Make my bag of tricks over here. Remember, bag of tricks 1, 2, 5, 10, 20, 25, 50, and 100. All right. So remember, with the big 7, the first thing we're going to look at is, what is the biggest number in this bag of tricks that we can multiply by 7 that gets us close to 480 without going over? Well, let's look at 7 times 100. Well, 7 times 100 is 700. Well, that's bigger than 480, so that's gone. So we're not going to use 100. What about 7 times 50? Well, 7 times 5 is 35. Add the 0. That's 350. So looks like we could use that. So we're going to put 50 right here. Okay. 7 times 5, like I said, is 35. add the 0, add the 0, you subtract it, 0, 8 minus 5 is 3, 4 minus 3 is 1. Let's keep working here. So now we have 130 left. Well, same deal. What's the biggest number that we can take out of this bag of tricks? Multiply it by 7. That gets us close to 130. Well, we can't do 50 again because we know that gave us 350. What about 25? Well, 7 times 5 is 35. And we put the 3 up there. 7 times 2 is 14. So that would be 175. That's too big for us. Well, what about 20? 7 times 2 is 14. Add the 0, that's 140. So that's too big for us. Well, what about 10? Well, 7 times 10 is 70. So let's do so 130 minus 7. I'm going to move my math over here to the side. So 130 minus 70. 0 minus 0, 0. Can't do 3 minus 7, so you got to borrow. Make that 1 into a 0. Make this 13. 13 minus 7 is 6. So now we're left with 60. Okay? So we now have 60 down here at the bottom. So we're going to keep doing our math over here to the right. I know it looks all funky, but this is what we have to do in this situation. So we have 60. Let's go back again. What's the biggest number that we can multiply by 7 in this bag of tricks that gets us close to 60 without going over? Well, we know that 7 times 10 is 70, so we can't do 10 anymore. What about 7 times 5? Well, 7 times 5, so we'll put the 5 right here, is 35. Subtracting from over here, 60 minus 35. Well, we can't do 0 minus 5, so we're going to cross out the 6, make it a 5. We're going to make this a 10. 10 minus 5 is 5, and then 5 minus 3 is 2. And that gets us now, we have 25. Well, same deal. What's the biggest number in the bag of tricks that can get us close to 25 without going over? Well, 7 times 5 is 35, so we can't use that anymore. Well, what about 2? So we're going to put 2 right here. 7 times 2 is 14. Put that right here. We bring it over here again to the side right here. So now we have 25 minus 14. 5 minus 4 is 1. 2 minus 1 is 1. So that leaves us with 11. Now we have 11 right here. All right. Well, 7 times 2 is 14, so we can't do that. So what if we do 1? We'll put the 1 right down here. 7 times 1 is 7. There. Can't do 1 minus 7, so we'll cross out the 1 over here. We'll borrow and make this 11. 11 minus 7 is 4. Okay? So that brings us 4 here. Well, what do we do when we have this number is now smaller than the divisor? That means we're done, and that number means it's our remainder, right? So we have a remainder of 4, and then we have whatever these numbers are added all up. I know it looks all wacky because I've been all over the place here, but we're going to add these numbers up. So 50 plus 10 plus 5 plus 2 plus 1. So 50 plus 10 is 60, plus 5 is 65, plus 2 is 67, and then plus 1 is 68. So 50 plus 10 is 60, 65, 66, 67, 68. So I'll write up here, we have 68 so far, right? But we have a remainder of 4. So I asked myself, are we going to buy 68 bags or are we going to buy 69 bags? And why would we buy 69 bags instead of 68? Because if we only buy 68 bags, that means we're going to still be short 4 bulbs. So where are we going to get those 4 bulbs from? Can't pull them out of thin air. So we're going to have to pull them from that bag. So we really need to get 69. So your answer should be 69 bags is what Kathy needs to buy.